Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, you just cannot stop thinking about him? It's like your brain just won't let go. It won't shut off, even though your heart knows you should. Well, that was me for about 3 years. And I didn't even know back then what the hell was going on when I had a name, which was Limerence. Today, I want to share you, my story of Limerence, what it looked like for me, why it held on so long, and the exact shifts that helped me release it and to finally heal once and for all. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, you guys, my podcast. This is a Divine's Finest. This is episode 39. Yep, 39, you guys. Of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, if you guys like to book or check out my journal, I should say, check out everything in the description box below. I also have some other amazing resources to help you on this journey as well, especially if you're on this attachment healing journey. Okay, so let's get into this. All right, so for about 3 years, you guys, I lived in this cycle of obsession. I'd wake up with him on my mind. I would go to sleep with him on my mind. Every little thing felt like a sign. Oh man, the signs and synchronicities were tragic, you guys. It was relentless, let me tell you. So, if I had noticed that he watched my story on Instagram, or or even if I would take notice of who liked my post on Facebook I don't really post on Facebook anymore, you guys, to be honest with you, but when I used to do it a lot, right? I would convince myself that it meant something. Oh man, especially the synchronicities. Like whenever I did see his name or something connected to his name, so for example, his nationality is Guyanese, right? So anything Guyanese related, like I would think it would mean something, for example. Or even number synchronicities like 888 or 111 or 222. Oh man, those used to haunt me as well. Or it would be situations like if he texted me, even after days of silence, my whole freaking nervous system would light up like freaking Christmas lights. Okay, you guys? And here's the wild part. It wasn't even about the real him anymore. It was about the fantasy I built in my head. I was in love with his potential, with the version of him that I wish had existed, not the man who was actually showing up for me. That's Limerence. It wasn't just a crush. It was an addiction that freaking drove me insane, you guys, okay? And like I said, it lasted for about 3 years. So here's what I learned about Limerence itself. It actually runs like a loop in your brain. Fantasy, reward, crash, crave, and then it just repeats itself again, okay? Your body literally gets hooked on the high of imagining him coming back, choosing you, being the man, or woman, whoever you're dealing with, right? That you always wanted them to be like, all right, or to be as. And if you have an anxious attachment style like I used to, that obsession feels even more intense because your nervous system is wired to confuse chaos with love. Silence feels like abandonment. Mixed signals feel like proof he cares. So if you end up chasing the thing that's hurting. So, oh my goodness, I'm like tongue twisted like I always tend to get in my episodes, you guys. So you end up chasing the very thing that's actually hurting you. And that's why limerence feels impossible to break, because it's not just emotional, it's neurological. And it's like a slot machine. Every breadcrumb that they give you is like a double dopamine hit. And then when you spiral when it's gone. And I lived that cycle for years, you guys, okay? So, you're probably wondering, how the heck did I even release this? And I know 3 years is actually a very, very long time. Like, honestly, you guys, it was so intense where I felt like literally, I thought that this was never going to go away. I seriously didn't. And I even looked back at my phone recently, and one day I'm going to share you guys some notes I actually used to write to myself in my phone and my notes app. I think I might share some of them with you guys to actually show you proof of of this type of these types of situations I used to deal with when and how I was feeling while I was going through this. I kid you not. And I was like, I cannot believe I kept these. And I'm glad I did, because I really wanted to show you guys that I really did go through this, because I'm not even making it up. I know how torturous limerence can be. Like, you literally think like there's nothing you can do about it, right? And see, here's the process. I feel like what happened as it, what actually helped release it. Now, I briefly did tell you guys before in several episodes where how, this whole limerence thing, I think for me started in I want to say 2018-ish, 2019, somewhere around there. And then it didn't end until about maybe 2022-ish, maybe. Somewhere around there. I know that's probably a little bit longer than 3 years, but I'm giving you an estimate timing, okay? But see, here's the thing. Because I search for so many courses and resources and stuff like that, I think it wasn't until I discovered self-concept work, which was in 2022, right? And that's actually when I started doing affirmations and stuff like that that put more focus on myself, right? I think that was the bridge of what actually kind of helped me initially. But see, here's the thing, is that I believe. But the problem, well, let me say this. The problem is that I was still, I still held on to the fantasy of him being different, okay? It's the intensity of the thoughts died down, right? But I was still holding on to maybe he'll change. And, I did all this self-concept work and did several more courses and things like that, thinking that there was still hope. And of course the law of assumption stuff didn't help me either, okay? So I was trying to make this a long story short about about kind of what I feel like that helped me shift out of limerence. But see, here's the thing. So, this all didn't happen in just one moment, obviously. It was like a series of small, steady choices that I made, right? So first, I started collapsing the fantasy. So every time I caught myself romanticizing him, I asked, am I in love with reality or am I in love with potential? And 9 times out of 10, it was actually fantasy. So then, going into that, of course, I did tell you guys I didn't discover more about anxious attachment style and stuff like that until late last year, okay? Which was actually helped me get into the deep root of things, really, because between 2021 and to about 2023 was when I was in the law of assumption stuff and did a whole bunch of courses, that actually just pretty much kept the fantasy going of the person that I wanted to be with, that I had limerence with, right? But, like I said, it didn't fully change me, even though the obsession the limerence and obsession of him died down, okay, quite a bit. All right. So, and that's, of course, after I discovered anxious attachment style, that's when I actually really started creating the rituals that brought me back to me, okay? And this is how I actually shifted from my anxious, preoccupied attachment style into a secure attachment style. And I showed proof of this in my last, actually back on bonus episode 17, so check that out, because I do have proof of that even on my community tab if you go back, okay, of my results. But anywho, I didn't want to make this too long, but basically I started, I did a daily ritual, okay, you guys, where I was like literally placing my hand over my heart saying, he's no longer here, I'm with me now. I started creating a whole bunch of boundaries for myself, such as a 3-day contact rule. So, for example, if they disappeared, I would stop making excuses and I just stopped reaching out completely, okay? And then, of course, I started doing things in the physical. I started clearing out drawers in my room. I was acting as if I was preparing for my dream partner. And that was the other thing. I started embodying and visualizing my dream partner. Okay. So those little actions had started to tell my nervous system that I'm moving on and that I'm safe now. And then, of course, over time, you guys, I started detaching little by little, and the spirals got weaker, the obsession got quieter, and eventually I realized that I didn't even need him to stop thinking about him. I actually needed myself. And the result, once and for all, was peace. My brain actually slowed the hell down. I wasn't checking his socials anymore. I wasn't looking at the little green light to see if he was still online or if he even read my message. Oh God, I used to do that years ago too. Yeah. I wasn't waiting for the text anymore. I wasn't scripting fantasies in my head. I just finally felt free from it all. And the most beautiful part, when you heal limerence, you create space for real love to come in. Love that doesn't feel like withdrawal and obsession. Love that feels calm. Love that actually feels safe. So with that being said, you guys, if you're in limerence right now, I want you to hear this, that you're not crazy. You're not broken. Your brain and your attachment wounds got hooked onto a fantasy, just like it was for me. And you can actually break this cycle once and for all. So if you want a step-by-step way to start, my Decentering Men Journal is exactly that. It's actually the roadmap I wish I had when I was stuck in limerence. Oh my God, I wish I did, you guys, at that time. But that's why I created it, okay? So it will actually help you collapse that fantasy, regulate your nervous system, and finally come home to yourself. The link is below if you're ready. And just know this, that you don't have to stay addicted to the illusion. You can choose you this time. Because let me tell you guys, limerence is no joke. And God, please just start healing your attachment style. That way, and that's the other thing, you guys, before I end this, is that if you don't heal your attachment style, you're more than likely to meet someone else that's going to activate this wound, this within you again, and you don't want that. And that's why I encourage, healing your attachment style, and this journal is definitely going to help you do exactly that, okay? So, with that being said, I'm going to end it here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll speak to you guys in the next episode.